Hello everyone, I'm Yazan Ibrahim, or as some of you might know me, Yazan Abu Ghosh. Today we're going to dive into a fascinating and essential topic, Fraud Examiners Section 4, Fraud Prevention and Deterrence 4.9, Ethics for Fraud Examiners, the Ethical Frontier, Guiding Fraud Examiners Through Right and Wrong. Hey there everyone, and welcome to a captivating exploration of a field where every choice matters, where the stakes are high, and where integrity is the ultimate shield. Today, we're delving into the ethics of fraud examiners, those dedicated professionals who uncover deception while navigating a complex maze of moral, ethical, and legal challenges. Over the next 15 minutes, we'll unpack what ethics truly means, why it's so crucial in this line of work, and how fraud examiners balance tough decisions to uphold trust and justice. So settle in, maybe grab a notebook, and let's journey into the heart of ethical decision making in the fight against fraud. Let's start with the very foundation. What is ethics all about? At its essence, ethics is the study of what's right and what's wrong, a systematic way to wrestle with choices that shape our actions and impact others. Think of it as a guiding light in a foggy landscape, helping us find our way through dilemmas by reflecting on moral principles and the values we aim to achieve. It's not just about rules, it's about pausing to think deeply, weighing options, and deciding on a path that aligns with both personal integrity and the greater good. For fraud examiners whose work can alter lives and organizations, this guiding light isn't just useful, it's indispensable. Now, why do fraud examiners or any profession need a specific code of ethical conduct? You might trust someone's personal sense of right and wrong, but a formal code acts as a shared standard, a clear map that everyone in the field can follow. Picture a team of navigators crossing treacherous terrain. Without agreed upon directions, each might stray in different ways. A code, like the ACFE Code of Professional Ethics, lays out expected behaviors, offering practical answers to tricky situations that broader moral theories might not address. It's a public commitment to principled action, a way to build trust with clients and society, and a mechanism for holding professionals accountable. Without it, maintaining consistent standards across the profession would be far messier. Beyond making decisions themselves, fraud examiners play multiple roles in the ethical arena. They're not just choosing their own paths, but also watching how colleagues act, advising peers on tough calls, teaching newcomers the right way forward, serving as judges on disciplinary panels, and even critiquing the ethical choices of others. Each role strengthens the profession's moral fabric, like individual threads weaving a sturdy net. Their overarching mission? To develop reliable ways to make ethical decisions while fulfilling their duties, often drawing on general ethical principles and specific guidelines like those from the ACFE to navigate the challenging scenarios they encounter. Let's dive into the core of ethical decision making. It's not about snap judgments or gut feelings, it's a thoughtful process called reflective choice. This means spotting a problem, gathering every relevant detail, considering the rules or norms that apply, pondering the ripple effects of each option, and then acting. For fraud examiners, these choices often boil down to two key questions. What written or unwritten rules shape my actions, and what might happen because of my decisions? It's a forward-looking approach, knowing that today's choices will echo into tomorrow, impacting not just the case at hand, but also trust and reputation. You might wonder, why not just follow your conscience as a guide? It sounds straightforward and noble, relying on personal judgment shaped by experience or tradition. But here's the hitch. Conscience can be clouded by inexperience, bias, or misunderstanding. Similarly, leaning solely on others' opinions or group norms isn't enough. Groups can cling to flawed habits, and blindly following them means surrendering personal accountability. Ethical principles and codes don't offer a quick fix for every dilemma. Instead, they provide a structure to guide reasoning and action, ensuring decisions are deliberate and defensible. Now, let's unpack the distinct yet intertwined concepts of morality, ethics, and legality, three lenses fraud examiners must use when making decisions. Morality is the deep-seated sense of right and wrong, often shaped by personal or cultural beliefs, but it can feel fluid rather than fixed. Picture a scenario where a fraud examiner goes undercover to catch thieves in a company using deception to build trust and gather evidence. Many would argue lying is wrong, but could it be morally acceptable to prevent greater harm? Ethics, by contrast, focuses on standards or codes expected by a specific group or profession. Consider a defense lawyer representing those same thieves. Their personal morals might reject theft, but professional ethics require them to provide a fair defense regardless of their beliefs. Legality, meanwhile, is about whether an action aligns with the law. It doesn't always match morality or ethics. Speeding might be against the law, but is it always unethical? Conversely, a professional code might ban something the law permits. These differences create a tangled web for fraud examiners who must evaluate if an action is legal, fits their professional code, and feels morally sound. It's like juggling three balls at once, ensuring none drop as they weigh each decision's full impact. Let's turn to the real-world challenge of upholding ethical standards. It's easy to discuss lofty ideals in theory, urging everyone to stick to the highest moral path, holding firm to integrity no matter the pressure. But preaching this path is often simpler than walking it. When colleagues or associates veer into corrupt behavior, resisting the pull to follow suit demands immense strength. Fraud examiners face this tension regularly, dealing with individuals who bend or break rules. Staying on the high road means clinging to principles even when it's the tougher choice, preserving dignity amid temptation. This brings us to moral philosophy, a discipline that organizes concepts of right and wrong, assessing human actions based on moral standards. For fraud examiners, two elements stand out. First, there's the human judgment process, how we analyze problems and reach conclusions. Second, there are the values we uphold, like honesty or fairness, turning moral principles into practical guides. While moral philosophy often takes a theoretical stance, ethics is more grounded, tied to specific contexts like a profession or society. The ACFE Code of Professional Ethics, for instance, provides concrete rules for fraud examination, linking broad ideals to everyday challenges. When tackling an ethics-related issue, a solid starting point is asking, is it legal? The law sets a baseline for what's allowed or forbidden, but it's the lowest bar for moral choices. Laws determine if an action is legal, not if it's right. If you've promised to honor a contract, ethics bind you to keep that word, even if the law doesn't enforce it. History offers examples of clashes between ethics and law, like when the US government forced the accounting profession to drop bans on advertising, prioritizing competition over the profession's view of dignity. These conflicts remind fraud examiners to balance legality, professional codes, and personal morality in every decision. Let's explore a practical framework for ethical problem solving, means and ends analysis. This method examines both the techniques used, the means, and the outcomes sought, the ends, to gauge an action's ethical weight. It's tempting to say the ends justify the means, or fight fire with fire, especially in fraud examination where you're often up against dishonest players. But this can be a slippery path. Consider an undercover operation at a company called Megacorp, where a fraud examiner used deception to infiltrate a theft ring. Catching criminals might seem to validate lying, but what about the aftermath? Once the truth emerges, will employees trust each other, or will suspicion erode morale? Means and ends analysis often prioritizes results over actions, but it risks overlooking broader consequences. This leads us to the notion of flexibility in morality. Even seemingly rigid moral rules like never lying can bend under certain conditions. Some argue deception is acceptable to catch a criminal, as in the Megacorp case, where the goal of justice might outweigh the dishonesty, but this flexibility requires careful consideration, evaluating not just the immediate win, but the long-term effects on relationships and trust. As we wrap up this deep dive, let's reflect on the profound role ethics plays for fraud examiners. Their decisions ripple through organizations and lives, demanding an unwavering commitment to integrity. Ethics isn't just about following a checklist, it's about reflective choice, guided by moral principles and professional codes like the ACFEs. It's navigating the complex interplay of morality, ethics, and legality, staying on the high road under pressure, and using tools like means and ends analysis to weigh difficult options. Thanks for joining me on this exploration. Let's keep the conversation going, share your thoughts or questions, and let's continue delving into how ethics shapes the fight against fraud with purpose and honor. Thank you for watching, and as always, continue learning, stay curious, and we'll see you next video.